Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Speaker and colleagues, for allowing me to address you today. Je me lève aujourd'hui.
I rise today to inform you that after reflection and after looking to the future, I have decided to withdraw from my role as MP for Notre-Dame-de-Grâce Westmount. I greatly appreciate the opportunity to address you one last time after over 14 years as a Member of Parliament. These were 14 years that were magnificent, 7 years in opposition and 7 in government, and I understand that many of you might have preferred that I spend more time in opposition, but please realize that I have very fond memories of my 7 years, and they're just as fond memories as in my last 7 years. I consider myself to have been extraordinarily privileged to have worked in the Parliament of Canada, to have served my fellow citizens, Montreal residents, Quebecers and Canadians as best I could, both in my riding and in this august chamber. And I'd like to thank the Prime Minister for having allowed me to serve Canada as a member of his cabinet.
I'm a by-the-book kind of guy. I have always respected the rules of this House and always obeyed its protocols. And for that reason, I would never dream of pointing out that my family has joined me today for my final speech. It would be wrong of me to point out that my wife Pam, my daughter Simone, her husband Oscar, my granddaughter Ella, and my sons Adrian and George are in the gallery, so I won't do it. But, Mr. Speaker, you know that those who work in this House and have families know all too well that political life is demanding on those families. So my first thank you goes to my loved ones. Thank you for allowing me to engage in politics for more than 17 years. Thank you. À mes commettants, pardonnez-moi si je vous quitte avant d'avoir complété tout mon mandat.
I'd like to apologize to my constituents for leaving before the end of my full term. I had the privilege to become the chair of the Indigenous Affairs Committee and more recently the vice chair on Medical Assistance in Dying Committee. I am very proud of the work of both of those committees. Last fall, I promised my family that I would leave political life after tabling the final report on medical assistance in dying in the House, which I did on February 15th. Completing that task was of great importance to me.
You know better than most that every member of Parliament is supported by a dedicated staff. We could not otherwise do our job, so I want to thank my staff, beginning with those who have worked in my constituency office in Montreal. Your constant presence gave me peace of mind knowing that you were always there. You reached out to the community to let them know that you would be there to serve them. You took thousands of calls from citizens seeking our help. Most of those calls were polite, although on occasion some were not quite so nice. On a few occasions, there were even threatening calls and people forcing their way into our office, something that doesn't happen in most jobs. So thank you for your calm under pressure. I simply could not have done it without you. Yeah. Merci également à ceux qui ont assuré le.
I'd also like to thank those that ensured that my office on the Hill ran smoothly. You arranged things so that I was available for as many meetings as possible, that I was always on time for the House of Commons, and that I was able to effectively chair my 2 committees. Your comments on my performance in the House, whether good or not so good, were always appreciated. Thank you. To my departmental staff at Transport and Foreign Affairs, I have only one word to describe you: incredible. You were always there for me, ensuring that I was up to date on my files, that I was ready for question period, ready for media scrums, and ready for my appearances before parliamentary committees, while giving me a few moments to breathe. Thank you for your loyalty and for your service to our country, even when I sometimes made your task difficult. I'd also like to thank my many parliamentary secretaries. For those who do not know, the work of a parliamentary secretary is extremely demanding. You need to know about every file. That said, you have always represented me very strongly. Thank you for your conscientious work and devotion.
Yes, thank you to the media for doing your job, especially those of you who took the time to do the necessary research and cover all perspectives on the issues at hand. I may not have been your easiest customer, but most of you were fair with me, and we also got to know each other, and you have my respect. Furthermore, allow me to thank the parliamentary staff that makes this House of Commons work so seamlessly and efficiently. You are incredibly professional in everything that you do. From the pages who assist us to those who keep the building spotless and make sure that we are fed when we are on duty, to those tasked with our security who put our safety ahead of their own, all the way up to the clerk of the House. I am still in awe of those who can call out the names of every member in this House during votes. You all deserve our gratitude and admiration. As you may know, I first ran in 2006 and was unsuccessful. I ran again in 2008 and was elected. So allow me to make a point about all those who run in elections. You never lose when you run for office. You're doing something that I consider to be both noble and that requires courage. You are expressing your views on current affairs and are exposing yourself to criticism. Few people would deny that. So no matter the outcome, you never lose in such circumstances. Democracy is always well served. J'aimerais aussi rendre hommage.
I'd also like to pay tribute to all of the civil servants that I had the pleasure to work with for 6 years as a minister. I'd like to thank you for your excellent work and your loyalty to the values of our public service. I've sometimes thought that the easiest job in governing is to decide what to do, and the most difficult part is to actually implement what was decided. I know this because for most of my professional career, I was one of those who needed to implement the decisions made by my superiors. That responsibility falls onto the shoulders of our civil servants, and I think that they always do their best, even when we ask too much of them. Let us be more aware that we need to give them the time and resources that they require when they're implementing the decisions we make.
My fellow caucus members, thank you for your friendship. Thank you for expressing your thoughts and feelings to me over issues that were of concern to you. I'm not the most demonstrative person in the world, but I did take it all in. And I truly believe that through our exchanges, I became a better MP and a better minister. I also want to thank you for allowing me to express my views and for listening to them respectfully, even when you didn't agree with them. And to those sitting across from me, I want to say that I enjoyed the thrust and parry in this chamber. I've always viewed you not as enemies, but as adversaries, and there is a difference. I know that every single one of you comes here wanting to make Canada a better place. We might have different views about how to do it, and that's fine. But when it all is said and done, there's much more that unites us than divides us. Yeah. Although I tried not to be too partisan, if I could avoid it. Hansard will probably make a liar of me, having preserved moments where I too failed at this, particularly in the early days of my political career. That said, I do believe I did get better over time, and all that to say to my colleagues in opposition, I enjoyed the exchanges with you, even though I was on occasion on the losing end. And although I may not have shown it often, I have watched all of you, some of you for a very long time, and I like you, and I respect you, because I know what the job of MP involves. Before I finish, let me issue a challenge to everyone in this chamber. Arrive each day in this House with the firm intention of showing respect for your colleagues and for this extraordinary place. Be dignified. Remind yourself when your emotions run high, as they do for all of us, that those emotions need to be channeled in a positive way, whether you're supporting something or criticizing it. Vous savez tous que nous sommes capables de nous comporter.
You all know that we are able to behave with dignity. We all know that we're able to criticize without yelling. We all know that we like to be listened to when we ask a question or give the answer. And God knows that the Speaker of this House reminds us often enough.
Is to find your better angels and put away the anger and false indignation. Criticize by all means, but do it with respect and maybe even wit. Make Canadians proud of this House and the people in it. En terminant, je m'adresse aux plus jeunes.
In conclusion, I would like to speak to the youngest generation of Canadians on a note of optimism. Although Canada is facing many challenges, we live in an exceptional country, one that is prosperous, safe, and diverse. It is wonderful to live in Canada. Let's be proud of it. Let us protect it. Its specificity and the institutions that help it run, like this Parliament.
In this world, but I'd like to think that I always did my best to try to make it better. And although my gaze will remain on the future, as it always has, I hope that you, the young people of this country, will fashion that future and protect our democracy. Now it's time for me to go. It's been an honor serving my country alongside all of you. Thank you and farewell.